After soaking in purple cleaner for a couple days, and then soaking in evaporust for a couple days, these brake parts came out looking amazing. So I'll probably just give these a rinse and install them just like they are. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these new wheel studs, and these studs are longer than the stock wheel studs. And the reason for that is I'm using 1/2-inch spacers. Now, with most cars from this era, and maybe even today, the track width on the front is 1 inch wider than the track width on the back. And that just always kind of drove me crazy. If you put some big fat wheels and tires on it, well, it's not an issue because you can make up for the difference in spacing. But using the factory wheels, I'm going to use these 1/2-inch spacers to push the rear wheels out a little bit further. So I'm going to take my 4-pound hammer, I'm going to drive out one of these wheel studs and replace it with the new stud. Alright, well, I got one stud in, and you can see the length difference. Now the diameter of these new studs is a little bit larger than the old ones, so I'm using an impact to pull them in. I have the new studs in. You can see there's quite a bit of difference in length. And of course, the additional length here is to make up for the thickness of the wheel spacer. So those are installed, and when I get to the point putting the wheels back on, I'll slide the spacer on and everything will be good. Alright, wheel studs are in and got some paint on the axles. So this part is finished. So the next thing I'll need to do in this area is get the inside of the backing plate coated in POR 15. And I'll probably wait and coat the back side before I reassemble the brakes. I was talking to KBS about the undercoating that's on my car. Now, given the age of this undercoating, this is probably a solvent-based undercoating. Now, in today's world, they also have a water base, and there's various rubber-based undercoatings. And from asking a bunch of questions, it sounds like the rubber-based won't be compatible with what I have. And I would have to completely remove it in order to use it, and I just don't want to do that. That's just way too much work. So what I want to do is just spray over what I already have. Now, they recommended I use this cleaning solution, so I'm going to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these foam brushes and I'm going to apply some water-based undercoat, and I'm going to apply a little solvent-based undercoat up in this tunnel area. So I'll put a little bit over on this side, I'll put a little bit over on this side, and I'll see if I get any reaction. All right, well, I have the water base applied here on the left side, and I have the solvent base applied here on the right side. So I'm going to let this dry overnight. I'll come out tomorrow and see what I have, and then I'll make a decision on what I want to use. And once that's done, then I can go and clean the bottom of the car. See, now there's areas like, like right here, I'm going to want to feather out these edges so when I apply the new layer of undercoat, I don't have these marks here. I want to get rid of stuff like that, and it's like right here. I brushed on some undercoating, a bunch of patches on the floor pan. So I'm going to let that dry overnight. And if it does dry, then I'm going to go ahead and brush paint this area with the undercoating. I was going to spray it. I've now changed my mind. I'm just going to brush paint it. If this stuff will cure. If it doesn't cure, then it's back to the drawing board. Well, I am right on the verge of getting to the fun stuff. I put a coat of POR 15 on the inside of this backing plate. Did the same for the other side. I'm going to let this tack up a bit, and then I'll give it another coat. Now I have the cleaning done underneath the car, with the exception of the fuel line and the brake line. So I want to get those cleaned up, and especially those springs. So I want to get those cleaned up before I start doing painting under here. And if that undercoating is going to work out, now that I've scraped off all that stuff that didn't cure, man, that would just be terrific. Then I can really start moving forward. I'll have the inside and outside of the brake backing plates coated with POR 15, and now I am finally putting some on the frame. I am fighting a little bit of fisheye issues, so I guess after cleaning a bunch of undercoating off the frame and even wiping it down and cleaning as best I can, there's a little bit of residual on there, and so I have to work the POR 15 into it, get those fisheyes out as I go. I have the first coat on the outside of the frame on the left side. And looks pretty good. Like I said, I did have a few issues with fisheyes, but I just kind of worked the paint. Got most of those out. Actually, I don't see any. But as it cures, I may get one or two. I went as far as my knees would allow. It got to a point where I just had to get up. But I did get some painting done. I've got the outside, the bottom of the frame here on both sides of the car. Gave the outside of the backing plate a coat. I got the back here painted. And I got part of the frame in here painted. Like I said, it got to a point where I just had to get up. And, I'll pick it back up tomorrow. The humidity in Arizona right now is 6%. And POR 15 needs a certain amount of humidity in order for it to cure. And by the way, this looks terrific. Look at that nice semi-flat finish. It is absolutely beautiful. So I have 3 buckets of water underneath the car to try to generate a little bit of humidity to help the POR 15 cure. That was the second day of frame painting, and get a little bit further along. I am absolutely covered in POR 15. I was
going to take weeks for this stuff to wear off. Well, I got the garbage truck and the Air Force jets making all kinds of racket. But tomorrow, I plan to finish painting the backside of this part of the frame. Now, some of this I'll leave unpainted, like that part of the control arm. All that stuff will get done when I do the engine compartment. Just going to do the areas that will be difficult to get once the transmission's back in place. I have the frame painted, and I have 2 coats of POR 15 on the frame. And you can see that after 2 coats, it goes glossy. Now you can see up front by that left control arm, there's some big bare patches there. All that will get taken care of when I do the engine compartment. So the brakes, spindles, control arms, fender liners will all come out when I do the engine compartment. So I don't have any paint in those areas. But the rest of the frame in the back here has all been done. And I went ahead and did this area in the back of the frame because once the transmission, bell housing are all in place, it makes it more difficult to get to. So that's done. The entire frame has gotten 2 coats of POR 15. And you can see after the second coat, it's gone glossy, but I'm just going to roll with it. So, well, I think I'll end this video here. I have 2 coats of POR 15 on the frame. I'm going to give this one more day to cure, and then I can start moving forward again. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you come back and join me as I continue on with this project. Thanks again for watching.